Okay, boss. We are continuing with the last class. We started with extractions, and we've seen we just had a little bit understanding on generic extractors. When you say generic extractors, we are creating our own data sources. Yeah. So you can define, when you say generic extractors, we are creating data source from the scratch from by our own. Yeah. So you can create generic extractors on what? By using table, view, or function model, info set, or domain. There are 5 types. Yeah. Last class we've seen about table, but that was just like running through and then making you just to see the screen. Yeah. But now look at that, I'm going to do it again now. So first we are focusing on how to create my generic extractors on table. Let's say this is my scenario. This is ECC, and I have a table called what is this? VBAC, and say display. I've got a lot of fields in this. There are around 147 fields, but I don't want all these fields. I just want only this VBLN, which says what? What is document? Then year date, which says date of creation. Then I would like to go with VKORG, which is sales organization. The net value and document currency. So when you say this is your net value of the data, this is a key figure, and WRK is my currency field, CUKY. Referencing to, you can see the referencing here. If you see for net value, what is the reference field? Look at it, what is it? Reference field is WRK, which is currency field. Clear? Okay. So whenever you have reference, if you are extracting net value, you must extract this, otherwise you will not be able to do it. That is one. Okay. And one more point to be noted here is, if you see this table has got a field called, what is this here? Mandate. What does this mean? When you see it in ECC, you will find most of the tables with this field as mandate in this. What does mandate say? Client. Okay. Actually, ECC is a client dependent system. Means what they do, once they install ECC, your basis person can create multiple active clients, say 800, 810. So when I log into ECC with 800, I would see different data. When I log in with ECC with 810, I would see different data. So how is it restricting? It is restricting with this column. What is column here? Mandate. Asalga adagadu chudu. Ipu nen gurtutte I'm logging out. Let's say I'm logging in again. Yeah. What is this client I'm logging in? So it will take this number with the client what I logged in. It will be filtering every table with that number automatically. If I go to SC11, so if I go to this table and if I try to see the content of this table, it will not ask me anything in the mandate selection, but by default mandate will be filtered with what? The 800, because when I get connected, it establishes session. The session has got a client as what? 800. So when I am seeing this data, it means only I am seeing data of what? 800 only. With this dot. Suppose if I log into the same system with 810, I might see different data. That is all getting filtered with what? What is mandate, the client information. Okay, so but BW cannot have multiple active clients, only one active client. That's why you don't see mandate column anywhere. But ECC can have mandate column where they can hold data in multiple clients. So let's extract this information to BW. And mandate field is never extracted to BW because BW is never a client independent system. So mandate column is never extracted to BW. So how do we create data source? I go to the T code RSO2, okay. Then depending on the type of data source, what do you want? Whether do you want transaction data, attribute, because creating hierarchy is a different mechanism, we'll see that later. But how do you decide what type of data source do you want to create? How will you decide? How do you decide whether do you want to create transaction data source or attribute or text source? Based on the target. If your target is cube or ODS, then it will be transaction. If target is attribute, then attribute data source. If it is text and I'm targeting it to load it to cube. So I'm going with what? Transaction data. That's my data source name, and then say what? Create. Then I told you in ECC every data source is automatically designated to certain application component. I told SAP has given a lot of data sources where they basically link it to what? Organize it with application component. Same way, when I create my data source, I must designate it to certain components. Look at the vocabulary I'm saying. I'm not saying assigning, I'm saying designating it to certain component, like application component. Say F4, and I see list all the components what is available, SD, MM, all this, depending on the requirement. There is no technical importance here. I might be extracting sales data, even if I put into FI, it still works out. It is only for organizing those. So I am going with what? SD in this case. Okay. Now description, I would say data source. Data source, VBAC table. Sorry. Okay. Then whether you want to extract data from table or view, it will ask. If it is view, specify the database view name. If it is table, specify the table name. Suppose if it is info set, you should click on this button. What is this? Extract from query, then click on the specify the info set name. If you want to extract by using function model, just click on this button and this gets enabled, specify the function model name. If you want to go with table or view, click on this button, then again start specifying table or view. Okay, boss? Now what is your table? VBAC. Okay. Now down there's option. What is this option here? Extract structure. We don't create extract structure. In case of table, view or info set or domain, we don't create extract structure. Extract structure is formed automatically. But in case of function model extraction, we'll have to explicitly create our own extract structure. Now what does this extract structure mean? Extract structure ante em ante extract structure nothing but it's a set of fields what will be extracted from this source. It is always ETL. First the data is extracted and transferred and then loaded to BWS. So extract structure will tell you what fields are being extracted from the source. Source nunchi ఏ fields extract చేస్తుంది. ఇది మనం ఇవ్వం, అది ఆటోమేటిక్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది. ఎట్లా చేసుకుంటుందంటే సిన్స్ యూ స్పెసిఫైడ్ ద టేబుల్ as what? VBAC table. It knows the definition of the table, right? It reads the definition of the table and formulates your extract structure automatically. నువ్వు ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ ఎక్కడి నుంచి చేయాలనుకున్నావు, టేబుల్ నుంచి చేయాలనుకున్నావు, ఆటోమేటిక్గా టేబుల్ డెఫినేషన్ చూసుకుని దాంట్లో ఉన్న ఫీల్డ్స్ ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఫామ్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకేనా బస్? చూడు. సో హౌ మెనీ ఫీల్డ్స్ వీ హ్యాడ్ ఇన్ VBAC? 147, and it will not never consider mandate. So 146 for fields, it forms extract structure automatically. ఎందుకంటే you said I would like to extract data from table VBAC, right? It considers all the columns of this table and formulates your extract structure automatically. Good and just ఏమంటావు బస్? సేవ్. You can save it in a package. I'm okay with local object. That's it. Now you get to see the details of the data source. This is your data source name. This is a description. This is a package where it is getting saved. Then what is this here? ZOXID30186. Did I create this extract structure? Now when I specified my source as my table and saved in, system is creating the extract structure automatically. Okay. This is the name of the extract structure, what it is defined. Now, okay, don't worry on this. Now, does it enable delta? Is my delta supported? We have not enabled any delta yet. Okay. Now, this is the name of the extract structure, and the fields what you see below are the fields of extract. How it has brought in all? This is the extract structure parent. Below are the fields of that extract structure. Why it has brought in all these 146 fields? It never brings in mandate, never into the extract structure. Why it has brought in those 146 records? You never create extract structure manually, right? When you specify the source object as table, based on the definition of the table, it creates the extract structure automatically. So when it looks at the definition, it finds 147. By eliminating bandit, it finds 146. It doesn't know what fields you would like to extract. It assumes you're extracting all the fields. It takes all 146 and formulates the extract structure for you. But did we want to extract? Did we want all this 146 into BW? No, right? Okay. So extract structure is something which tells you what is being extracted. But is it mandatory that whatever you extract I should take into BW? Not necessarily. I might extract 100 fields, but I might be sending only 5 fields also. Yeah. So how do you control? So what is transferred to BW is what we call it as transfer structure. What is extracted is specified by extract structure, and out of this, what fields are transferred to BW or sent to BW is what we call it as transfer structure. So we can customize the transfer structure by using this checkbox hide. Whichever the field you select hide, it will be extracted but will not be sent to BW. So which all fields you don't want? Lot of fields you don't want. So you want this send it WR bus. I want sales org also. I'm not selecting hide. Except the 5 fields what I want, I'm hiding all other fields. Okay. Then you have some another checkbox. What is here? Selection. Simple. Now tell me, while extracting data from flat file, if you wanted to extract data selectively on some year or month, how will you do this? Data selections. Excellent. You go to the data flat file data source, the fields tab, you enable the property called selection, right? That is with flat file. Same thing with R3. If you want to enable selective loading on any of the field, you should enable this selection checkbox. Ante, whichever the field you select the selection, you get to see that field in the data selection of your info package, so that you can use some selections on those field and extract. Okay. Let's say I just wanted to enable this. If I want, I can later use it or not. It might require. Okay. And also, I would like to enable selection for what? What is this? Sales org also. I'll పెట్టుకుంటాను అవసరం అయితే వాడతా లేకపోతే లేదన్న సో did you understand these two checkbox selection and hide will play on transfer structure. Any field for which you selected hide will not be available in transfer structure and BWS, and any field you select the selection, you will get to see that in the data selection tab of the info package, so that you can extract selectively using the values of that field. And then that's it. So now you customized your transfer structures. Now save it. Now actually what happens, still the transfer structure is not created. You customize those checkboxes. That's it. Did you see only extract structure or not? Now you see only data source with extract structure only. Now done. Now what I'll do, I'll go back to BW. Then what should I do? Should I replicate the data source? How do you do this? RSDS. Give your data source name. My source connection is what? R3 connection, data source, and say what? Replicate. It asks me whether do you want to replicate as RSDS or RSDS is 7 compatible, and ISFS is 3.x data flow. I want to go with RSDS with 7 data flow. Replicate it, done. So once it is replicated, if I go to RSA1, display data source tree, it shows me data sources. This is my data source, set display. Now you get to see data source descriptions, extraction, yeah, which says what? Through API and a program, through program or not. Fields, now why you get to see only 5 fields? This is transfer structure. So transfer structure you get to see in BW. This will tell me if fields type gurtunda, I gave some definition as transfer structure. The fields type will tell you the list of fields and in what fields are coming from source and in what sequence are they coming from source. This is how, and this is formulated from where? Based on customizations what you've done in the extract structure using hide. ఏ ఫీల్డ్కి అయితే నువ్వు హైడ్ సెలెక్ట్ చేయలేదో ఆ ఫీల్డ్స్ అనే ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్కి వస్తాయి. నౌ యూవ్ సీన్ ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఇన్ R3 ECC. నౌ యూర్ సీయింగ్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఇన్ BW కోసం, రైట్? నౌ వన్స్ యూ కన్ఫర్మ్ దిస్ అండ్ యాక్టివేట్, చూడు ఇక్కడ సెలెక్షన్ చూడు, ఎక్స్ ఎట్లా వచ్చింది ఇక్కడ సెలెక్షన్. నార్మల్ ఫ్లాట్ ఫైల్ ఇక్కడ ఎనేబుల్ చేస్తావు కదా, ఇక్కడ ఎట్లా వచ్చింది? వెన్ ఎనేబుల్ సెలెక్షన్ చెక్ బాక్స్ దట్ సెట్స్ అప్ దిస్ పారామీటర్ హియర్. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు చూడు బస్ పాయింట్. సో ఇది పాయింట్. రెప్లికేట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది? you did the replication RSDS. What happens when you do replication? When you replicate the data source, it reads complete metadata అంటే ఆ డేటా సోర్స్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అంతా రీడ్ చేసి దాని ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ స్ట్రక్చర్, దాని ఫీల్డ్స్ హైడ్, దాని ఫీల్డ్స్ని బట్టి ఇక్కడ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తుంది. When you replicate your data source, it reads complete metadata of your data source from ECC to BW and formulates your transfer structure based on the extract structure and those customizations. Clear? ఇంకోటి ఏమైందంటే చూడండి, ఇప్పుడు యాక్టివేట్ చేసాం, ఇప్పుడు డేటా సోర్స్ని యాక్టివేట్ చేస్తే ఏమవుతుంది? ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ ఈస్, విల్ ఇట్ క్రియేట్ PSC టేబుల్? ఎస్ అన్న. ఫస్ట్ థింగ్ ఈస్ ఇట్ క్రియేట్స్ PSC టేబుల్, అండ్ నెక్స్ట్ థింగ్ ఈస్ when I activate my R3 data source, it creates a transfer structure in ECC now. First of all, when you create a data source, we only could see extract structure and you did customizations. And when you replicate it, it has created transfer structure in BW. When I activate data source, it creates transfer structure in ECC also. Endukante chudu, the extract structure in ECC will tell you what fields to be extracted. Okay, and you should have transfer structure in ECC to indicate out of extracted fields what to be sent to BW. And this transfer structure in BW will tell me what fields will be coming to BW. ఆ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ రెండు కామన్ ఉండాలి రెండిట్లో, ఎందుకంటే అదేం పంపిస్తే ఇది అక్కడ రావాలి. ఎక్స్ట్రాక్ట్ స్ట్రక్చర్ అండ్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ కుడ్ బి డిఫరెంట్, బట్ ద ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఇన్ సోర్స్ అండ్ ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఇన్ BW both should be సేమ్. అదేం పంపిస్తే అది రావాలి కాదు. బికాస్ ద ట్రాన్స్ఫర్ స్ట్రక్చర్ ఇన్ ECC will tell you what fields are sent, and this transfer structure in BW will tell you what fields are coming. So what is sent and what is coming both should be same, right? Okay. So before activating, I will try to search for the transfer structure. You can check it here. ECC lo I'll go in. This is how you can search for the structure /bi. I know the structure formulates with this naming /bi star, and I search for what? Structures. New selection. Give your data source name star, data source name, and then star. Did you find any object? No object, because no transfer structure had created. After I activate this data source, స్లోగా వెళ్తే నీకు కనిపించేది ఆడ మెసేజ్ వెళ్ళిపోయింది కానీ, బట్ యూ గెట్ యాక్టివేటెడ్ ఫస్ట్. నో ఫస్ట్ ఇప్పుడు దొరికిందా? దిస్ ఇస్ వాట్ ఇస్ దిస్? వాట్ ఫీల్డ్స్ ఆర్ దేర్ ఇన్ దిస్? ఏముంది? ఓన్లీ ఫీల్డ్స్ వాట్ ఈస్ నాట్ హిడెన్. ఇది ఎప్పుడు ఫామ్ అవుతుంది? వెన్ యూ యాక్టివేట్ డేటా సోర్స్ ఇన్ BW. So while generating data source, you will only get to see extract structure. Based on the customizations, what you do when you replicate data source, it reads the metadata of your data source and sends it to BW and formulates your transfer structure. And when I activate my data source in ECC, then in BW, it creates a transfer structure in ECC. And the transfer structure in ECC will tell you what fields are sent out, and the transfer structure in BW will tell you what fields are coming. Obviously, what is sent and what is coming should match. And when there is a deviation, it gives an error. Okay. That's it. My data source is ready. Do I need to go with the cube now? I already created those infobics and kept ready, so I'm just using them. How many infobics will I need? A 5 ready just పెట్టుకున్నా already. Okay. So done. Now cube is ready. What should I do next? Yeah. Create transformations. Data source. Do my data source. What is system? ECC. Start establishing this VBLN and the year date is okay. Net value to net. So whatever the currency is also mapped to that. Then what? Sales org to VK hours. Okay, boss. If I'm not happy with the data, you can still modify doing start routine, end routine, export routines. You can do transformations. See, do I get to see VBL and VK hours here? Can I give some values and run selectively? Yes. Extraction says API program, processing only PSA, full update. Why full? Why not delta? Because the data source what we get does not enable delta. It's not enabled yet. We have not yet enabled the data source for delta. So 9248 records. What should I do now? What? Create DTP. So error handling, valid records update, no report. If there is any error records, let it write to error stack, then I will take it from the error DTP. So actually how many records were there in VBAC? Nine to 4. It is taking time in updating your target. Done. So now we have the request loaded with 9248. This is generic extraction with tables. Simpler, yeah.